Drum Plant, Chennai. Situated at Thondairpet, in the loop complex premises is Indian Oil's drum plant, manufacturing loop barrels and bitumen drums. It is in existence for more than 5 decades since 1970, serving the need of providing metal containers for a wide range of servo lubricants and partly for Durapave brand of bitumen packaging. We now briefly take you down through the manufacturing process. The production commences with a toolbox talk on safety by the production in charge to the operating personnel of various workstations. Basically, the drums and barrels are made from cold-rolled, close-annealed CRCA coils, which are of 2 types, one for loop barrels and other for bitumen drums. The process begins with coil loading onto the decoiling machine and shearing machine. The coils are slinged to the cables and connected to the hood of the EOT crane and is shifted to the decoiling machine. Gently placed on the mantle of the decoiling machine, the leading end of the CRCA coil is fed through the multiple roller systems for flattening and leveling the sheets. It then passes through the shearing machine and the sheets are cut to the predetermined length. This is done separately for loop barrels and bitumen drums. The cut sheets are collected in the stacker and shifted to the production area. Similarly, the end coils are decoiled and fed continuously into the 250 tons press for lid production. Here the staggering blanking operation of the lids takes place. The bottom and top lids are fed into the pre-curling machine. The process involves pre-curling of the circumferential edge of the lids. Next operation in the production line is the 125 tons press with SOTD, single operation tandem die process, wherein the openings for the top lids for producing loop barrels are punched with 50 mm and 20 mm flanges. This is an overview of the machine shop of drum plant, where the container production lines with various machines, the manufacturing of 210 liter capacity loop barrels and 150 kg capacity bitumen drum takes place. Shown here is the flow chart for manufacturing of 24 gauge 0.63 mm thickness bitumen drums, indicating the sequence of operation of various machines and process. Now the process begins with bringing the body cut sheets with the help of forklifts to the forming roller machine. The sheets are fed one by one into the forming roller, which bends the body to the required curvature. The formed body sheets are subjected to spot and seam welding process through the electric resistance welding mechanism. It is welded continuously so as to provide an airtight joint. The shell thus formed is now introduced into the flanger machine, which provides shape to the shell by flanging both the ends. Thereafter, the hydraulically operated corrugator forms the corrugations to increase the stiffness and strength of the barrels. Next, at the head fixer station, the top and bottom lids are pressed onto the flanged end portion of the barrels and drums. Then the double seamer machine intertwines the flanged portion of the shell with the lids, making it firmly attached to the shell. With this, the process of manufacturing of bitumen drum gets over. The finished drum is checked for air leakage test through air. Thereafter, bituminous black paints are spray painted by rolling the barrel drums in automatic paint booths. Then in an oven maintained at 120 degrees centigrade, the painted drum is subjected to drying process. The finished bitumen drums are then screen printed with brand name Durapave before dispatching to the customer. Similar activities are involved in the process of production of lube barrels. Shown here is a flow chart pertaining to lube barrels production. After the forming operations of the cut sheets in case of lube barrels, it is subjected to mash welding process. Mash welding is continuous resistance welding process done on the edges of the curved sheet overlapped at a width of about 2.5 mm. After the above process, a latex-based joint compound is applied on the either end of the shell end joints. The flanging operation of the shell ends is now undertaken. At the bead expander machine, unlike bitumen drums, lube barrels are provided with two hoops on the surface called beads. This is to enable the barrel to roll. Inspections are carried out at various stages to oversee the manufacturing process. At the corrugator machine, the corrugations are provided to increase the stiffness of the 0.9 mm 20 gauge lube barrels. Then at the head fixer, the top and bottom lids are pressed into the flanged portion of the barrels pneumatically. In the case of lube barrels, the triple seamer machine intertwines the flanged portion of the shell with the lids, making it firmly attached to the shell, thus completing the manufacturing process. Then the lube barrels are subject to air leakage test. In case of lube barrels, degreasing of the outer surface is undertaken at the degreaser unit. After sealing the bungs with caps, the barrels are introduced into the degreaser unit. After the degreasing operation and later getting dried in the oven portion for about 10 minutes, the barrels then move into the painting booth chamber. Drum plant is manufacturing barrels for engine oil servo and also for OEM grades. Paints of required color like red and yellow for servo, dark blue, Pantone blue, and white for OEM grades like TMGO and Easy Star barrels are sprayed in the PLC controlled paint booth. Stoving enamel paints provide a glossy look. They then move into the paint dryer oven for drying and later exit through the conveyor line. The finished barrels are then moved for storage at the designated places. As a part of the quality checks, the barrels are subjected to undergo drop test, wherein the barrels are raised to a certain height on the test bench and dropped to check for leaks from the joints. Hydro test is also undertaken, subjecting the barrel filled with water and raising the pressure up to the test pressure limits. The finished barrels are marked with appropriate ISI marks, batch number and brand servo, etc. Before dispatching to customers like LBP Chennai, SCFP Tadapalli, and at times to other region LBPs for further filling of servo brand lubricants.